Welcome to Flair Play, a podcast where we chat all things Arsenal, all things football. My name's Warwick, and just to the left of me, 13,000 kilometers away in South Korea, is Luandiso.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on our podcast. Be sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, hit us with a follow on Twitter at play_flair and at Flair Play Podcast on Instagram. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
And I deserve a bit more credit than wrong information. I won 4 times the FA Cup. Who has won it more? Give me one name.
Still Henry. Keeps on his feet. Henry, yes! Split for Adams! That's a sensational finish. Ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira! The captain! Shaw Candle! Look! Gomez still saved it. Gomez misses it. Well, we don't mind that today.
Welcome to another episode of Flair Play. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be chatting about the shit show that was Villa versus Arsenal and the potential shit show that could be in Leeds versus Arsenal. I'm joined with Loa. Loa, how you been, dude? How are you feeling?
I'm alright, man. I'm alright. Got a bit of the flu. Also been a bit bored, with the international fixtures going on at the moment.
I think this is the first time that I've actually been happy we haven't had Premier League football.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Oh, because honestly, like I said earlier, like the Leeds game is so fucking like difficult, and I don't
The
like.
Aston Villa game.
No, the Leeds game. So the Villa game was difficult, and I've like had time to actually like not think about Arsenal. And then now when like the fixture's coming up on Saturday this weekend, I'm like thinking, fuck, we're gonna lose. Bro, I'm not feeling good about it. I'm putting
It's
it out
actually
there.
quite funny how we have a fixture coming up, and we're in that dip in the cycle, where we're not feeling 100% confident about an upcoming fixture. Because before the Aston Villa game, we were pretty, psyched about it. Like, okay, we're going to see some continuity with the performance after Man United at Old Trafford. And then the Villa happened. Ross Barkley happened.
Fucking Trezeguet, the third best Egyptian in the world, scored against us.
You're just rating all these Egyptians.
No, but like, oh, fuck. Like I said, I'm glad, like, because now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking about the shit again, and I'm just getting angry.
Are you getting triggered?
I am. Because I've tried not to talk about it. I think we spoke on the phone for like 2 hours talking about it, like the day after it happened. And that was the last time like I've ever spoken to anyone about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's healthy. You got to like mental health. You gotta speak up. So I guess that's why we're sitting here now.
You mustn't keep those things bottled in, eh?
No, I mean we can't fucking keep the clean sheet. So why must I keep it in?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think I might have had a slightly different reaction to you, or maybe some Arsenal fans out there as well, from that game against Villa. Of course, I was massively disappointed with the performance and the results as well. At the same time, a lot of my concerns that I'd shared on the pod, we kind of I kind of saw those in the match as well, especially surrounding the manager and some of the players that we have, and just our general style of play and how we approach matches. This is not to say that I feel good that I was proven right. That's not how you want to be. To prove a point through a loss. So I watched the game. There was some things I could laugh about, some things I was really disappointed about. And then just as you did and many people did, we just forgot about it, And the international fixtures came at a good time for Arsenal and perhaps for Arteta as well, to give him some time to recoup and re-strategize and figure his shit out. before we go to
It,
before we go up north to Leeds.
it's a good time for us to like forget about it or whatever. But for him, like at the post match interview, he was saying like he wished we could play a game tomorrow. You know, like having the full squad, working with the full squad, because obviously all our internationals, even Hickey B, managed to get in the Spanish squad, which like that's probably the best thing that's happened to me over the last 2 weeks, or in terms of Arsenal. But I'm sure, yeah, he would be dreading this international break just as as much as anyone.
Yeah.
We left so many like questions that need to be answered, and like with the 1-0 loss or like a 1-0 win, you can pick out what you did wrong in that game, and usually it's like a quick solution. But when there's 3 goals scored against you, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in understanding why that didn't happen. Because
So wait,
yeah.
yeah, Karen.
No, well, so basically, what went wrong with that game, I think, wasn't a tactical error. I think it on Arteta's part. I know I'm protecting this guy, but I think there was just something with the players that it seemed like fatigue. We'll get into the goals, but I mean, one like Rob Holding, who's really good at like man marking, or if someone goes past him, he takes the foul. He was just standing still for like the second goal, I believe it was. Like there was just players that showed like real, for lack of a better word, but like stupidity. And the players who are usually so very consistent, who we usually do have like 3 or 4 players who don't play well, but there's often like those names that shine in the game. In the likes of like Saka, for instance, like it was the worst game I've seen Saka play. So it's very worrying, and I'm sure Arteta is craving to have these guys back. I wonder when they do get back and how many days they'll have together, to answer those questions.
Yeah, that's when they get back. I'm not really sure. I mean, we've already seen Aubameyang in bagged up in some airports during this international fixtures with the rest of the Gabon squad. I think the Gabon squad, Aubameyang included as their captain, slept at an airport before one of their fixtures that they actually lost. Following that moment, so we might not even be getting our players back, or the players might not be coming back in tip-top condition.
Yeah.
And it does seem like it's been a very stressful period throughout these international fixtures, but we're just going to have to see how they turn up on Saturday, and hopefully it will be different from how they turned up against Aston Villa before the break.
But it's quite crazy though. Like I don't understand why international fixtures are happening at this stage. Most countries are like landlocked basically, but here we have players who come back with like El Neni now has like COVID, and that's just another problem that we've added. After our performance, and especially with losing fitness or whatever, being tired in the airport, getting stuck in the airport as a player who earns like £350,000 a week. What airport were they stuck in, by the way?
I'm not really sure, but I know that of course there was part of the AFCON qualifiers. And I mean it was really great. I always think it's really great when Aubameyang shows up for the Gabon squad, and as a captain, he carries that exact level of energy that he carries for Arsenal. Of course, you're thinking about Arsenal as a bigger club, and he doesn't. He still carries himself with the same attitude as and level of professionalism as he does for club and country, which is something that I just noticed. I'm not sure which airport it was, and there are a lot of people who have been very not happy about the international fixtures, which I think under this climate it is really questionable for to consider how can resources be stretched so much to facilitate international fixtures. Like one of the things that has been limited during this year of COVID is international travel.
Mm.
You know, I mean, if you compare with like in the
Tourism.
NBA, yeah, in tourism, but like in other sports, in the NBA, they play the rest of the seasons in the bubble.
Yeah.
Uh, but with football, it's just like there's a high level of um, impunity
Yeah.
or freedom and resources being thrown to facilitate these fixtures. And I do think it's a bit of a I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, you want to see some people do
Mm.
enjoy watching international fixtures, and for many of these confederations like CAF or UEFA or even in Asia, the international fixtures are important and they're part of their calendar as well.
Yeah.
So
But
I,
it's
do- I don't know.
it's
I feel like it puts a lot of players at risk.
yeah, 100%. A lot of the
Um,
leagues, I mean, a lot of international countries, even like the smallest international countries or whatever, they have like, people playing in the top leagues in Europe,
mm,
and
mm,
it's putting like everyone at risk.
mm.
So I'm
Could it,
absolutely shocked because I mean, the whole idea of this, and obviously they're exempt,
mm,
and it's probably got to do with like money making. Obviously, like that's the reason why. I mean, the Euros got pushed. Why can't these qualifiers get pushed? And
yeah.
it's just it's
It
dodgy.
seems though that the attitude around COVID in sports has kind of swayed to the extreme other side. At first it was like we have to, sports has to also be share in the responsibility of minimizing travel.
Yeah,
And now it's like it's open season. Fuck it, we're FIFA. We can just do what we want,
mm,
and we're gonna have these fixtures. I mean, if we're gonna complain about it, about international fixtures, and I also think to some degree we should be complaining about it even with the domestic fixtures or league fixtures. But this does hold like a much greater concern and a greater risk in
risk. Yeah,
international. That these players are tired. They haven't had, um, a long off-season period, um, and they've now come back. They're traveling in different places, and with the risk of coronavirus, I cannot imagine how it must be for a player to be playing under these
mm,
conditions.
mm,
And I think that's why we're seeing so many erratic results in the league, well, especially in the Premier
mm,
League.
mm.
But I just wanted to go back a little bit to that Aston Villa game. You're talking about Arteta and Arteta's response. Um,
Mm.
Arteta's response to our loss against Aston Villa, and him saying that he wished he could play the fixture again or play another team the
Mm.
following day just to erase that loss against Aston Villa. And at first I thought, oh well, this is just a bit bold of him to say.
Mm.
And then you know, giving it some time, I feel like Arteta is not. It seems like he's imposing a lot of pressure on himself to prove a point, and not taking time to accept a loss
Mm.
and introspect and look into himself like what went wrong,
Mm.
you know. And I think he was just as shocked as we were to
Mm.
see us collapse like that. Not even collapse, but not even get off the mark.
Yeah.
There was something. There was something very odd about how we started that game in terms of just the mental preparedness of the players.
Yeah. It just
Everyone looked switched off.
yeah. It just felt like there was no like commitment. No, we've been speaking a lot about like energy and Arteta like bringing energy into the club, and not just on the football pitch, but within the staff and everything. And this was the first time that I've seen Arsenal play probably since the Brighton loss, though, where we had like no impetus, no like pressing as a team, and then we lacked that energy, and I think that's why he maybe wanted to have another game to like put in the energy that we didn't really expend into that game, and then use that to like get our confidence back up, because that's also the terrible thing, is that we've now lost like 3-0 against Villa at home, and these players jump on a plane straight away to do internationals, and you're left with the B squad. And you know those players who go on an international break, like you hope that like they play well in international qualifiers and friendlies, and Nations League qualifiers, and they come back and they actually pick up confidence from those games. Like that's what you hope. But it's just a shit timing all around.
Well, I was it was and it's unfortunate timing, you know. And a number of people have brought up this points about energy and our lack of energy against Aston Villa, and it makes me think about one manager and a team that you like to talk about in reference, Warwick, is Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, where when he arrived at Liverpool in his first season, introducing the players to the style of play that he wanted, with the high tempo, high pressing game. The players suffered a lot from burnout or injuries before they got conditioned and acclimatized to the training methods and the kind of the demands that Klopp had for them physically.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Leeds. Like if you watch the Amazon documentary, like the Oaks were buggered in the first few training sessions or whatever. But carry on.
So I'm thinking, are we going to see the same here with Arsenal? Like as the players have to get over a hurdle of being acclimatized to Arteta's training methods, and the level of energy and demands that he demands from the players, because there was like a massive difference between how we were so switched on against Man United and then so switched off against Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it is something we need to do, and obviously, like, the thing that I've seen improve with Arsenal is their fitness. I mean, we saw in the Man United game that after like 84 minutes of like the entire team working really hard, we made like our first substitution. And I don't know when last I've seen that with Arsenal, where we make 3 subs in the last 10 minutes of the game. But it was a little bit of both for me in terms of mental fatigue and like physical fatigue. But I can't explain what the mental fatigue is. Why do we have mental fatigue? So many managers speak of like overburden of fixtures. Sunday, Wednesday, in our case Thursday, Saturday. Games just come thick and fast, and that might might affect mental health, mental fatigue. But also maybe like one thing that we're starting to miss is the fans. And when mental fatigue is low, usually like the support from the fans is something that can bolster our energy and whip us back into shape. But
well, it's not only. I mean, I could almost say maybe for many players, especially after the year that we've had, just globally, it must be a very tiresome year,
draining,
and they haven't had like a normal, consistent period of being well conditioned, training with the rest of with their teammates and going through the drills, So I don't know if this is an isolated issue with Arsenal or if it's happening broadly across the English Premier League and the European League, as well as around the world. But I mean, just 2 things that I'm going to hypothesize about the performance, or about how we showed up against Aston Villa. On the one hand, do you think maybe there was we overhyped the performance against Man United? I mean, taking nothing away from the boys, like, they played really well. And they followed the manager's instructions. You could see that they were well structured. They were very much prepared and mentally switched on. But perhaps it was a good performance on our side, playing against a very underperforming Man United team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they weren't. Yeah. I mean, I think at that time, Man United were like, people were saying, like, they're back. They beat, they won an emphatic victory in Champions League.
Against,
they beat PSG,
Bull,
Leipzig. I do agree with you though. Like, I think, it was a very similar fixture where we were the guys in form, yet we were under the cosh by a team that.
I wouldn't say Man United were. That's the thing. I wouldn't necessarily say that Man United were in form.
Not in that game, but coming in, definitely.
No, I don't want to say they were a team in form necessarily. I would say that they were a team still finding their feet and who just picked up some 2 big, wins, but not necessarily a team in form. Not over like a five fixture period, So they're a team that,
they were picking up their form, like they were
picking up their form, exactly, right? But I wouldn't necessarily say that they were a team in form, and neither were we a team in form facing up Aston Villa. We had just picked up a win against Man United, and previously we had, got a disappointing result. Exactly, against Leicester. So these are both teams that are like kind of wobbly, Man United and Arsenal, and anything then can happen if both teams aren't in great form.
Yeah.
So I just think that's one of the things that we should or we could give reason to, that okay, we played well against Man United, but it wasn't a Man United that was switched on. And then another thing about the mental preparedness of the players is if Arteta is assuming so much responsibility off and almost on the field as well during play, then he has to carry most of the responsibility and blame for how the teams prepare themselves on the pitch. I don't know what is happening between between the manager Arteta and the players, and are they being overburdened by like instructions and micromanaging, and
they're like almost locked down into their
they're feeling
roles.
A bit locked, and they only play according to what the manager says they must do. So I don't know what I actually don't really know what happened in that game. All I know is that Aston Villa turned up, put 3 against us. Thank you, bye.
Sure. Emi Martinez smiling at Leno.
No, that was mate. That first goal. Okay, first off, the disallowed goal. I think we should have lost 4-0, because that disallowed goal. I understand technically why it was disallowed, right? But it should have stood. Footballistically speaking, if there's such a word, it should have stood.
Yeah.
The disappointing thing for me was that after it was disallowed by VAR, I thought we were going to switch on, but those Villa boys, they were.
I think
they maintained their game plan.
Yeah, they picked up confidence from that.
Yeah.
They picked up more than we, would have been like, smack ourselves on the head and be like, come on, let's pick up the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost as though they gained more from that disallowed goal than we did, which is sad, because you want the attitude to be resilient. Should we go through the goals?
Let's go we can go through the goals quickly. Starting of course with the Trezeguet or Saka own goal. What a goal!
Did you notice?
Oh my goodness!
Did you notice them attacking our right flank almost the entire game? Besides the third goal where it comes like from a counter down the left, they were down our right hand side entire time. Like Bellerin, I think
Bellerin and Willian
were sort out. Yeah, Willian. I think they saw a weak link and up there on the right.
The first goal. What I noticed about the first goal is that Willian was in possession in and around their in the Aston Villa half. And I think it was a misplaced pass, but it was a bad pass.
Very, very
which
bad
got intercepted, and then they carried the ball over to our half and to our final third, where we saw, like, that's probably one of the best football plays I've seen at the Emirates this season. And it didn't even come from Arsenal, like with Ross Barkley and the main man Jack Grealish. Like Jack Grealish for me right now as an English player kind of feels like the second coming of Joe Cole. I don't know if you remember Joe Cole.
But more, I think.
A bit more, yeah. But Joe Cole was an absolute baller. Very different from like the traditional way that English players play, So that the little interchange in outside
reverse
pass.
That
was
it was a very good goal, and you also like was the quiet performer in that game was Target. Almost every goal he was involved in, and we struggled to get the ball off him. We struggled to get the ball off the entire front four. Watkins was winning headers in our half, which is shocking.
So what happened with that first goal? So you have Jack Grealish and Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley basically went full on Ronaldinho there.
You do like a back heel and then gets it back and then does a reverse pass.
We had Willian and Rob Holding defending that flank.
And Bellerin was somewhere there.
Yeah. And none of them even, wanted to put, stick in a foot and try and nick the ball or push the player off the ball or something. They just stood there and watched and allowed the Villa players to move around and find spaces in the channels to play the passes. And it was an incredible reverse pass.
Yeah.
From the edge of the box.
Yeah, it's almost as though we stood back when they had the ball. Almost like we're trying to play counter, but it just didn't work. They just unlocked us every time. Because I can only explain why Holding never put in that tackle was to wait for the right moment to transition or something like that. I'm not even sure. Like, why was he even there? Why was he marking at the edge of our box? Like, I think obviously Bellerin was obviously put out of position and he was taking the inside role in defending. But
maybe he was waiting for Arteta to tell him, Coach, should I stick a foot in there, or what should I do?
He was obviously being told, he was literally trying to dummy tackle. Is that ever a thing? Is that the first skill move we've seen in defending? Like dummying a tackle. Like, bro, tackle. And Holding, you're a British, supposedly hard defender. You got to push that man off the ball. I don't know, maybe you're scared, but whatever. It was sad to see. Because we've been praising our defensive, efficiencies for the last few weeks.
And that's true. Before coming to the game, we were the team with the best defensive record.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing as well that I noticed is against Man United, we have to let go of that game, okay, we won against Old Trafford. It's done. We're moving on now, But we were praising Thomas Partey, Elneny, and Gabriel as well, And in the low cross that came in for the first goal, all those three players couldn't stick a foot in or block the ball, and it landed all the way to Trezeguet and Saka. And that was an incredibly well worked out goal from Aston Villa, taking nothing away from them. Yeah. They were deserving. They actually they played a really good and deserving performance. And this is also the same team that beat Liverpool 7-2. which is absolutely crazy. You know, this is definitely a different to Aston Villa squad by miles.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
those Oaks like lost. Didn't they lose before? I mean, Leeds beat them 3-0, which makes me scared for the next game. I don't know what the hell's going on with this Prem, dude. If you're a betting man, I don't know, you'd either win a lot of money or lose a lot of money. But I mean, not a lot of people are going to win money because literally you can't. I mean, even with fantasy, dude, I can't. With my fantasy league, I'm nowhere. So walk us through what happened in the second goal then.
The second goal was actually, funny enough, kind of looked like one of Arteta's patterns of play, like how he used to play. So the ball comes in. There's a diagonal ball from Douglas Luiz, if I'm not mistaken. He plays it to Ross Barkley on the edge of the box on the left flank. Crosses it, volley, header by Watkins, 2-0 Aston Villa.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Eddie Nketiah on the right-hand side? Where the fuck was Hector Bellerin in this game? Eddie Nketiah was on Ross Barkley. Can you believe it?
What do you mean, where the fuck was Bellerin?
Oh, he was off.
Anyone?
No, he was there. He was in the centre. Was he? Were we playing...
where was anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like literally, there's no one to blame. This is like a collective poor performance, I mean, let's put it like the second goal. You remember the second goal?
Mm-hmm.
So the second goal, it was Martinez catches the ball.
And third goal.
The third goal plays it out to Jack Grealish. As a commentator says, he's only seeing green or seeing grass. And it was just easy for him. Bullies Bellerin off the ball.
Yeah, Bellerin, honestly,
gosh.
It was one of the worst games I've seen him play. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually had another fucking foul throw in that game. Yeah, got bullied. Watkins with a sublime finish.
Yeah.
Man, what a player, Watkins.
Yeah, you're
Brentford,
before the game.
Dude, it almost as though like all these goals, we were always struggling to get back or struggling to defend in every scenario. Like there was no communication for covering. There was especially in the first goal. It was Eddie Nketiah on the right with Pepe. As nearest marker, and then Pepe just like, okay, I'm not going to get into the toxic blaming of Pepe.
No,
but
here's the thing.
It just looks like there's no organization, and which is shocking because that's our pattern of play, especially defensively.
That's the biggest thing. Now you have a manager who sets up and prioritizes the positioning of players, and then we're out of shape, like all over the place. That's incredible how Aston Villa could like move the Arsenal players around like that. And like I said again, I mean, Aubameyang had no shots on goal or no shots. Our only opportunities came through Lacazette, who did a Lacazette. I mean, he's not in the greatest form at the moment.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's not looking good for him. Like you can get angry, but you can also now start to see the frustration in his body language and how disappointed he is and how much confidence he lacks in himself. And that is not how you want to see any of your players,
especially a striker.
Especially a striker, and a striker, like he's our leading man. So there's a lot to consider for Lacazette there, and he definitely needs a pick me up or like a solid performance.
He's not getting it in international level.
Well, he's not playing international level, so something definitely needs to happen there. If we're gonna stick with just our forwards again, so we got Lacazette, Willian, and Aubameyang. Let's talk about this Brazilian fella, hey? Like. This is one of our big signings of the season. We nicked him from Chelsea on a free, gave him a whopper contract. You know, he's benched. He's benched Pepe.
Mm.
You know, our biggest signing, and he's getting more game time against Pepe, and he's just stinkers.
Yeah, look, I think we've spoken about him a lot, but you know, it's getting ridiculous now.
You explain. I have very little words for Willian because his transfer.
The
You know, you try to be
transfer,
positive about it,
I was
and
positive about the transfer because I was like, okay, cool, we have like another attacking mid role. Like I was expecting, Willian to give us pace in the middle of the park, and have an eye for a pass, but he just always seems to be passing to the opposition and running away from the ball. Like, I thought it would be like a good sub for who, or like work in the
for
play.
Ozil, please say his name.
No, we can't say his name.
No, I think we should be saying Ozil's name.
We can't say
I
a
think-
player's name who isn't on a team, who isn't on the squad. We like.
Wow, this is are we dub? This is
We just
feels
go
like we're
number
doubling
10.
down on his
Number 10,
on his erasure.
untitled.
Okay, so actually let's hear this. Actually, hearing it in words actually sounds better. So Arteta brought in Willian as a replacement for Ozil, a player that he had already with 1 year to go in his contract, and brought in Willian for a 3-year deal.
But it
Fantastic.
turns
Yes,
out he made the cam roll
Continue.
completely obsolete. There's no
Yeah,
such thing
and
as a
then-
cam roll. We were
and
completely
then takes
wrong.
with the cable. Wow. And then ships our big signing Pepe in onto the bench, and this was supposed to be Pepe's like season of reckoning.
Yeah.
He's had his first season where he's
Do you-
adjusted to the league.
Do you think he said something about China?
Who, Pepe? He
Yeah.
must have. He probably said
must-
something about Japan.
He probably told Arteta, "Is like, boss, do I see a grey hair there?"
What are these guys saying to this man? And
Yeah, he gets
also,
fucking whipped about it.
and
though.
yeah, Teta gets really hacked. He's like, I got no time for this. No nonsense.
And he doesn't
No, I was
forgive.
thinking-
He doesn't
It doesn't
forgive.
forgive, eh? Do you know what I was thinking about is Guendouzi, because I mean Guendouzi played really well in the under-21 for France.
Isn't he
during
captain?
this national, huh?
I think he's captain of the under-21s.
Yeah, I think he is captain, but he's been playing really well. And you know what he's been doing? He's been doing all the things that we need or that are lacking in our midfield
really?
right now. He's
Shit.
carrying the ball, and that's always what he was capable
Yeah.
of, is carrying the ball and driving and
Winning fouls.
and winning fouls, and also so that's what he's been doing, and that's what we don't have. So the two players that Arsenal has just shunned, but Ozil and Guendouzi
Wait, this conversation
comes back again.
every pod. It's ridiculous.
No,
but
but
I
that's
mean,
the
it's
thing.
true.
It's going to happen for the rest
Yeah.
of the season,
Yeah.
But and the thing is, unfortunately for Arteta, whenever we have matches and performances like the one against Aston Villa,
They're gonna get asked.
we're gonna,
Yeah.
So he has very little room, not very little room, but he has little room to fuck up, especially in the middle of the field, like in the midfield, and on creativity. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying this is on him to a large degree, and maybe that's why he was so quick, or he wanted to quickly forget about that performance.
Cool. How do you
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
about
that-
Leeds? Let's chat about Leeds.
Yeah, okay.
Because
Aston Villa game.
if there's one team that I was most scared of, okay, cool, you got your big ones, you got like Liverpool and City, dude. I am scared of Leeds. When we beat them in the FA Cup last year, like we didn't win that convincingly. I think it was like Arteta's a handful first games, and it was a tough game. These Oaks are the prime example of like energy, fast movement, and teamwork. So I'm very scared because it's going to be like, we're going to need to match them with that energy, which, is something we lacked in the last game. So it's very scary. How do you feel?
I mean, I'm quite excited. I have like this warm feeling about us facing Leeds. Leeds United is a big club traditionally in England, but also a very big club for us as South Africans.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's Arsenal versus Leeds. When you think Leeds, you think Lucas Radebe, you think
Mark Viduka.
Mark
That guy was
Viduka.
sick. He was sick.
No, I'm
for
still,
like
I'm
2
still, I'm
seasons.
still just looking at the South Africans who played for
Okay.
Leeds United. Not all the people.
Well, he's Australian,
He's
so it's close.
Australian, yeah. Lucas
Wait,
Radebe.
who's the other South African, Donny?
Who's the other South African?
Who's the other South African who played for Leeds?
I'm telling you now. It was Lucas Radebe, of course, was the captain, and then Phil Masinga was a striker for a South African striker. When Lucas Radebe moved to Leeds, they moved together. They both signed for Leeds
for
at the
real?
same time. Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know
And
that.
Phil Masinga, of course, played really well in AFCON 1996 when we won AFCON. And then a bit of history as well. The first African player, actually, to ever play in the top flight English football, and to was a South African, and his name was Albert Johansson, who played for Leeds United.
What?
Back in 1965, he represented Leeds in the FA Cup. So there are close ties between Leeds United and South Africa as well. So this is I'm very much interested and excited about watching this fixture, and I would like a massive performance from Arsenal and Arteta, and at the same time, I'm looking forward to seeing Bielsa more closely as well. A lot have been said about him. He's highly rated across the world as a forward-thinking, innovative manager, and I mean, we did get to see that in him against the opening game against was it Liverpool?
Liverpool 4-3. Yeah.
So I would like. It is going to be interesting. These are two different managers with two distinct footballing philosophies. And managerial setups. So it is going to be, I believe, a highly tactical game against Arsenal and against Leeds United. How are you feeling for it?
Yeah, like I said, I'm like shit scared because with Arsenal right now, there's one thing about Leeds, and you can argue in the last like 2 games. I mean, they were unlucky against Palace, I think, for the Bamford goal or whatever. But they always, even if they go 3-1 down, they're always giving, they're always providing the energy and the fast movement, and they're always a threat. Those guys never give up. And if we don't match them, like I said earlier, for that energy, that we highly lacked against Villa, I really like Leeds. Like, with the South African history, like I only really knew of Lucas Radebe, going to Leeds. I think that's quite special that, the first South African footballer, especially in that age, in our country's history, to make such big movements like that is actually quite beautiful. So I like Leeds does have like a place in my heart, and I want them to do well, but I don't want to see them in top form against us. Because those guys are so fit, man. And we spoke about earlier, like in terms of like fitness and fatigue or whatever. Do you know what they have a special, like training? What do you call it? Like a 15 minutes of training that the players call murder ball.
Oh, what's murder ball? That sounds really intense.
Yeah, so basically it's we don't know what it is because they all keep it quiet, but it's apparently like an extremely intense like 15 minutes ball exercise or something that absolutely like gets like the players chunder, like after this. Like that's how they get their fitness. So like there's more ruthlessness in like the training, obviously, and then when we like against Villa, where we showing that we can't put our foot in for a tackle, these guys are going to come in like 2-footed. and I'm not saying like they'll be illegal about it, but their commitment and their fitness is going to be up there. I mean, they gave Liverpool a run for their money at Anfield in a very high-paced game.
Yeah.
We need to match it.
Yeah, I think look, when it comes to Arsenal and how I really don't know what to expect from an Arsenal team, to be quite honest. I don't know what kind of Arsenal team is going to show up against Leeds, and especially especially considering that we're playing an away game. I know that might not have any like great consequences in the season at the moment, but we're traveling to Ellen Road, and I'm actually concerned. I'm a bit concerned for Arsenal or for Arteta. At the same time, I know that against the ropes, Arteta has been able to,
Yeah, much like Ole,
yeah, exactly. Put that little,
confidence,
drive and confidence behind the players, and it always shows in their next performances. I think there are a lot of things that he needs to sort out, and I think, we can chat for that for like a couple of minutes. If we compare the kinds of teams that we've seen, and even the lineups and the structure, the setups and the formations that we've seen, how would you like us to set up against Leeds United, or what are you expecting Arteta to go with?
It all depends how much confidence he has to, put the same team that we did against Villa, but ask them to give more energy. The changes I personally want to see, I don't think he's going to make changes. I think they're going to be very similar changes, and like-for-like replacements. So the 3-4-3. But if there's one thing I want, it's Oba in the middle. Just give it a chance. Just for once, or even like play a 3-5-2 or something. Put Oba and Laka together, because we've seen that they can link up. Especially in the latter stages of the Europa League. I think it was during Emery's reign. When we put like 5 past Valencia, I think. They were combining the entire game. Like, those guys can combine, and there's some off-field chemistry, and it's more likely that there will be on-field chemistry between them. I mean, they're best mates. I'd like to see them either playing together or supplementing Laka's confidence. Getting Laka to have someone he knows he can play like a good 1-2 with. Even if it means one of them dropping deep or something, I don't know. I'd like to see Abba up front, mostly because I want him to be in the box from either side. I don't want him to just be in the box when the ball is coming from the right. I don't want to see that man crossing a ball. I don't want to see it at all. And then
he's actually not a bad cross of the ball, eh?
Yeah, but it's not about how good he is at crossing. It's about who's on the end of it, and you want him to be on the end of it. That's why I say, like, I want him to be at the end of the cross, not crossing it in. If it doesn't matter how good you are at crossing. If you don't have people who are confident with finishing, which is something we need, at the end of those, it's a waste. I'd rather him just shoot from the corner flag.
For me, I mean, again, I'm a bit concerned that there's been cause for Aubameyang to play through the middle, and I think we spoke about this in the previous pod, and then to move Lacazette to the bench. That for me will depend on how he wants Aubameyang to play through the middle. Because if it's going to be quite interesting to see him change his structure and the position, or rather to see him change his system to suit Aubameyang through the middle in a way that he wasn't prepared to do for Lacazette.
But I mean,
do you know what I mean? Because I understand that Lacazette is a slightly stronger player who can try and hold up play, but then as we said this before, Warwick, that's not his game.
No, I know.
And Aubameyang playing wide isn't necessarily wasted he's wasted if he's not making runs or he's not being fed the ball. Not necessarily, like, that's his starting position. So as a starting position, that's not him necessarily being wasted. He's being wasted when he's not coming into or coming centrally into the box and is not receiving balls through the channels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what we saw against Aston Villa, where he was basically a full-on left-wing player and not a left-wing come striker. So we'll have Aubameyang through the middle. Will we then also have someone feeding him the ball from the midfield? Because if he can do that for Aubameyang, and then you take away an attacking threat in Lacazette, that for me is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of odd.
I don't know. I think having Auba in the middle keeps defenders more on the toes than Laka would. Running off the shoulder of a defender, even if it's a pass from the midfield, Laka's not going to give you that option. And like you said, it's not his game. Man likes to put his back into players. But
no, that's exactly what I say. It's not his game.
Yeah.
Lacazette's game is not putting his back into players.
Well, it has been for the last few years. He's had these one-off opportunities where he's on the shoulder, but he's not running past the defender. I'm trying to say that, like, we got an option in Auba to make those inside to out runs, and spread the center of the defense a little bit more. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just think that mobility at the top, because I think we have mobility throughout the team, but when it comes up top, and I really doubt that Arteta is asking Lacazette to do what he's doing because he's failing at it, and if you see something's not working, you change it.
Mate, there's no way that. I think we've identified this issue that Lacazette drops deep because there's no one playing in the hole. And he's been given more defensive or pressing responsibilities and told to hold up the play almost. I think that's what we've been seeing. And my argument or my feeling about this was that, well, there is a difference between the Lacazette we're seeing now and the Lacazette that was playing with Ozil, for example, with the 10. Lacazette could anticipate the through balls or being fed the ball to his feet and only turning to shoot, or playing in the box, or in those tight spaces in the box, turning and shooting. Now he has to marshal inside and outside the box. And he's always facing. He always has his back against goals, and he's facing his own goals. And trying to win the second ball, which the first or the second ball, which is incredible because he's not the tallest player. He's not a Giroud, for example. So my argument has been, well, you're not playing this number 9 player to his strength.
Yeah.
And now what you're going to do is remove him, bring on Aubameyang. Will Arteta change the system to suit Aubameyang's game, because if he's willing to do that, that means that he has had no faith in Lacazette's game.
I guess that Arteta sees that he'll need that help. Having him pass and then move. Someone who's easily there to pass, which is why I say maybe then having Abba in the middle too with him gives him that opportunity. They can even switch roles. I don't know, bro.
I just think what I'm trying to point at here is there's a common thread or running issue here where Arteta has his favorites, I want to almost say, and he's willing. It's almost like the system for him takes priority over the abilities of the players, and I know that we've had this conversation as well. So it's a big issue for me if you're willing to sacrifice an attacking player at number 9 in Lacazette, who no matter how, yes, he's going through a bad patch right now in terms of form, but he's still a good striker, and we've seen him perform well in this Arsenal shirt. So now, and we've also seen both Aubameyang and Lacazette partner well or play well together.
Yeah.
And that's the one liberating thing, is that, these two players can actually play well. So now you take the one guy off, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Of course, this is all speculation. We haven't yet seen how he's going to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that this call for Aubameyang through the middle and sacrificing Lacazette it feels a bit unfair,
But
it seems like
you look at the way Eddie Nketiah plays. I think they have two very different play styles. So Nketiah is very fast. He's obviously not strong, but he can still play in that middle role. And he's not always facing his goal or whatever. He's actually running onto defenders. So, I might have said this earlier in the recent podcast, and you can easily call me out for saying that. But I don't think is Arteta trying to put people into a system. I think it's correct in terms of our defense and how our midfield operates. But I think when it comes to attack, it needs to be as fluid as possible. And when you attack, you read the game and you read space, and you find passes, whatever. But it's not as though I don't think that Laka is being told to do that, because even when I was mentioned earlier in previous podcasts about Balogun, when he came on in the Europa League, this man was running in between the lines, looking for passes, always making runs into the box. I don't think that there is a fundamental attacking way, or no, that's wrong.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
That you don't think that Arteta is telling Lacazette to run around like a headless chicken?
Yeah.
That's on Lacazette, and I'll concede that, but only insofar as the reason why his game is like this, or he looks so confused or bewildered, is because he's a central player, a central striker who doesn't have anyone to link up with from that central midfield role.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is Eddie Nketiah doesn't seem to have that problem. He doesn't really need that central attacking role. He easily uses his pace to get into space and make a pass out wide and then move again.
So now you want we should go with Eddie Nketiah instead of Lacazette.
I definitely think so. Yeah. I think Arteta's been a little bit unfair to Eddie Nketiah, because Eddie didn't score for a couple of games, and then he brought in Laka, and Laka scored 3 goals in the first 3 games. And he's been dog shit, to put it lightly. And I think Eddie Nketiah deserves to start a game. Like I said, what Abba would bring to the defensive line is bringing pace and keeping defenders on their toes, and drawing midfielders into defense, because it's so easy to win the ball off Laka, and then they transition into attack. So I'd like to see Eddie start.
Okay. Well, I don't
especially
think
playing against his old club. Well, not technically old club, but the club he
old
was
club.
loaned
He
to.
was
Yeah.
there on loan. I was going to say, well, neither Lacazette or Aubameyang or even Eddie are great attacking ball carriers per se. You know, just looking at the front line and compared to someone like Pepe and Willian. I mean, they can carry the ball, they can take the ball forward. So all these three players are players who are reliant on receiving the ball in attacking or goal scoring positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but I guess that's when it's open. It's going to be interesting to see if he makes any changes to try and fix, you know, the attacking. The problems in attack.
I think it's definitely the changes will come. I think Louise will come in to help us with creativity from the back.
Gosh, this idea of playing creativity from the back.
I'm not saying I like it
from the back.
I'm not saying I like it, but it's just Arteta. And then I think
how do you feel about it?
I think it gives us options.
Jeez.
I don't think it should be like our Route 1 football, like give it to Louise and then make a run. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Obviously, it's failing up top, but I mean, it is an option. You know, if we were better and more cohesive in attack. This podcast is going on way too long, bro.
You feeling tired? Let's finish. Let's go.
I'm saying that okay, David Luiz gives us an option that not many other teams have. You know, besides what Van Dijk does for Liverpool, like you see him ping some amazing passes, but and you know it gives us a little bit more dynamism, and keeps the opposition guessing. And oftentimes they actually leave him open because he's so deep that he is able to find the time to find those passes. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying it's like it should be our Route 1 plan, and maybe it has been because other ways of attacking are failing.
Oh, I see.
But it's definitely a very cool option to have. And
it's a good option to have.
That is why Luiz is like you know, he's been a successful football player. And it's why a lot of teams like him. It's not because of his inconsistent performances in defense, but he's always consistently great at passing. Yeah.
So we travel. We play Leeds. Are you seeing a massive dub here, or
I'm seeing a draw. And 2-2.
A draw.
2-2.
2-2. Because interestingly, we're going to be playing a team that is open in attack, similarly to how Villa was in Bielsa's Leeds. And if we try to play an open game, it might be very interesting.
That's why I think it's a high score draw. Yeah.
Yeah. But also if we play defensively, then we're going to be under pressure and try one, like a marginal goal lead win against Leeds. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. I'm thinking...
Oh, well, yeah.
Of course, I want to see a dub, but I'm thinking a 2-1 defeat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm seeing a 2-1.
Oh, it's a dark,
I'm seeing a
dark
2-1
time.
defeat. Huh?
It's a dark time.
It's a dark time. It's only because of, I think Leeds can be a bit, might be a bit bullish.
Yeah. I know they
and we're also a bit uncertain. I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to have Partey coming in. I'm not sure if he's recovered from his injury. We know Al-Neni's definitely out with Corona, and the questions happening up front with Lacazette, Aubameyang, and I'm seeing a 2-1 defeat.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm hoping Arteta can surprise us.
Because like playing against Leeds, they are so chuffed to be back in the Premier League and playing like the top teams in the country. And I think that's like the curse of like supporting traditionally a big club, is that a lot of the teams want to beat you, and they want it even more than they do if they play against other low teams. And I can just see that happening with Leeds, where, they are fucking pumped for the game and we're just not prepared. But
It's gonna
anyway,
be, it's gonna be great. I know it's gonna be a great fixture, and I mean, we're gonna be, we if sometimes what is cool about football and what is cool about the Premier League is when you're not happy about the results, there's always the drama or just watching what unfolds on the pitch, But so that's we'll have Leeds on Saturday. There are also other fixtures around.
yeah,
We
big
have
ones.
Spurs versus is a massive game, and Liverpool versus Leicester.
I see City winning that one.
Ooh, it's Mourinho versus Pep again.
Yeah.
And look, Mourinho Spurs. Hey, Mourinho Spurs look very promising. They might even win the league, boy.
No.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what the streets are saying.
What street do you live on?
Hey, I'm in Korea, so.
Yeah, but no, literally, what? I know you don't want to
know-
let the people know, but I mean, what I'm actually interested. What is the name of your street? Or a street near
know-
you? Name one street.
I live in a dong. Do you know I was in Seoul on Friday, and I went out to this bar like just across the place I was staying at, and I was looking for like a nightcap before going to bed, and I saw this bar and then like a massive projector. I was like, oh, there was footy on.
Mm.
So I'll go inside, I'll grab a beer.
Is that your nightcap? Sorry, I literally thought you were gonna have like a cup of decaf coffee.
Oh no, boy! My nightcap is. I'm not. We don't promote. No, it was a craft. It was. Of course, it was a beer.
Okay.
And they had, the projector, and I promise you, it was just Spurs, primarily Heung-min Son highlight reels.
That's what I imagine Hull to be like. If there's a Hull for me, it's just watching Spurs on replay.
Just watching Spurs and watching
God.
Sons bag the goal.
It's just the devil trying to force my eyes open.
Yeah, for the whole time I was just watching Spurs and eating chicken and chips over. Yeah, I mean the chicken was very good, but I was not entertained, hey. But yeah, so I think Spurs City.
What are you going for?
I'm gonna go for Spurs.
Who's scoring?
Actually, it's gonna be a 1-1 draw. I feel it's gonna be a 1-1 draw.
City are gonna give them.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think Spurs have hurt City quite a lot in the past, and I think City are looking flipping good.
Kane is in form. Tottenham and Son are in form. I think it's
De
gonna.
Bruyne is back to like full fitness. Played well against England. Dude. I mean, the defense as well at City they're ridiculous. What is that dude's name? Luis or something? No, what's his name? He's the defender. He's like he's the big defender there. What's his name, man? Dude, he is a boss. They have so much more solidity in defense, especially more solidity than Spurs have right now.
Cancelo.
No.
Ruben Diaz.
Oh, he's incredible. He's a beast.
City recently played against Liverpool, right?
Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah, that 1-0 draw. Yeah, he is solid. And then we have the Liverpool play Leicester.
Brendan Rodgers against
Who's
his
winning?
old team again. Liverpool. I think
Leicester.
I think
Tell you why.
A lot of normality is coming back to the Prem. We start losing home games to small teams. The Premier League's back to normal.
I tell you why I'm worried about Liverpool. But actually, they might be a bit like riled up. They won't have Salah.
Oh, no, man's got COVID.
All those players lost to COVID. I don't know how many players they have lost. Henderson as well.
Oh, he's got COVID. Oh, they just lost Alexander-Arnold as well. And Gomez.
And Robertson.
No, don't lie.
I promise you.
That's their entire back four. No, I don't believe you. They were.
I mean,
That's so ridiculous because they were like, their title winning campaign. Even the year before that, those guys were staying fit the entire season, and now all of them are gone. No.
So that's going to be tough for Liverpool. So there's no Salah, no Henderson, and no Robertson. That's certain.
Oh, cool. Yeah, but also
I mean, maybe
Alexander-Arnold. Surely, I mean, he's also he's out. Yeah.
And there's I doubt Salah will be playing. I mean, he literally tested positive for COVID. So
Yeah. There's a Twitter account called Football Images that precede unfortunate events.
Oh yeah.
And there's one of Salah dancing like with family, like in a big crowd, and he's like got his mouth.
Brother's wedding.
Well, it might have been, yeah. And he was like clapping or whatever, and there were like so many people close to him, and he had his COVID mask like around his neck and not over his mouth. And it was like a few days after they found out that he had COVID. It was brilliant tweet.
That's a tough one for Liverpool. So that's the only reason why I'm going with Leicester is because, I mean, they won't have the core of their players. Jurgen Klopp.
Is Fabinho back? Because I'm wondering what their defense is going to look like. I bet you Lovren. They needed Lovren. They shouldn't have let him go. He'd probably be the best defender because Fabinho just got injured. I think he might be coming back. And then they have that Rice Williams guy. The defender. Oh, geez, it's going to be an interesting game. That Vardy is. But also,
I'm just super glad that the Premier League is back because my weekends are just going to get so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I realized that with the international break, I've tried to do different things. I've cut my hair. I'm all bald, and now I'm sick because it's all cold up here.
So much has happened since the last Premier.
So much is happening. So yeah, that's what we'll be looking forward to this coming weekend. Is the fixtures: Spurs versus City, Liverpool versus Leicester, and of course, Arsenal or Leeds against Arsenal. That's correct. On Saturday. When is that fixture? On Saturday,
I believe Sunday. We're always playing on a Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it's from us with episode 4. And we'll be back here after this weekend's fixtures.
Thank you for listening, and follow us on Flair Play. Follow us at Flair Play Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and we'll
YouTube,
see you soon.
Spotify,
YouTube.
Apple.
Did I not say this? Did I not say any of those?
All of the platforms. No, you didn't. You just said Instagram.
We still rookie.
You want to be an influencer. No. On YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also check out our pages on Instagram as well as on Twitter.
Cool. Thanks, Fly.
Bye.
Have a good one, bud.
You too.
Who has won it more? Give me one name. I haven't seen it well, I have to look at it again.
Anyone else would have gone home after this?